Rapper Nipsey Hussle's alleged was attacked on his way to court. He was attacked by two people while in a holding cell. Holder needed 3 staples after being cut with what's believed to be a razor. He also may have lost consciousness during the attack.
After that happened, they went and shot up this family house. They wiped out his whole family. Baby mama, granny. Them niggas dead. Like, they went and did John's that same day.
Is the killing of rapper Pop Smoke related to the recent of a man whose body was found in a barrel in Malibu? Investigators are looking into the possibility that Javonta Murphy was in retaliation for Pop Smoke's death.
In the streets, Saiti, sliding on the ops for your people is just how it goes, so it's no shock when some of the biggest names in the city go down. Revenge is always in motion. And the fools who thought it was a good idea to take out some of the most beloved rappers in the game, they've paid for it big time, from being tortured in jail.
He was attacked by 2 people while in a holding cell. Holder needed 3 staples after being cut with what's believed to be a razor. He also may have lost consciousness during the attack.
To having their families targeted.
After that happened, they went and shot up this family house. They wiped out his whole family. Baby mama, granny. Them niggas dead. Like, they went and did John's that same day.
Or even being offed in retaliation.
Is the killing of rapper Pop Smoke related to the recent of a man whose body was found in a barrel in Malibu? Investigators are looking into the possibility that Javonta Murphy was in retaliation for Pop Smoke's death.
The consequences have been brutal. You can bet they're sitting there full of regret, wishing they'd made a different choice. Let's break it all down. Let's start with the late, great Nipsey Hussle. His death wasn't just a loss. It was a full-blown earthquake that shook the music industry, his community, and fans around the world to their core. Losing Nipsey hit like a ton of bricks, but the fallout from his emder, that's a whole different level of chaos. The man responsible for it, Eric Holder, has been living a nightmare ever since. And honestly, nobody could have predicted just how messy things would get. This is way bigger than just a courtroom verdict. It's like a real-life warning of what happens when you cross certain lines. So Eric Holder, the guy who took Nipsey's life, got slapped with a massive 60-year prison sentence. On paper, that sounds like justice, right? But the truth is, the punishment started long before a judge handed down that sentence. The streets didn't wait for the legal system to catch up. Rumors have been flying about some heavy retaliation aimed at Holder's family. We're talking about a shootout that allegedly left his family with major losses. Recently, a woman from LA's Rolling 60s neighborhood, Nipsey's stomping grounds, spilled some serious tea in a viral video. She claimed that Holder's family was essentially wiped out as revenge for Nipsey's emder.
After that happened, they went and shot up this family house. They wiped out his whole family. Baby mama, granny. Them niggas dead. Like, they went and did John's that same day.
According to her, Holder made a colossal mistake when he offed someone as respected and loved as Nipsey, forgetting that his own family would be vulnerable.
Why would you go kill somebody like Nipsey and then leave your mama and them on the block in the 60s? You supposed to get them up out of there before you even went to scope the scenery.
The streets don't forget, and in this case, they made sure the consequences were felt far and wide. And it doesn't stop there. The backlash against Holder isn't just about his family. There's even talk that anyone who tries to visit him in prison or stay connected to him in any way could be putting themselves in danger. It's like Nipsey's memory carries this invisible aura of vengeance, making sure the cost of betrayal stays sky high. Now, let's talk about Holder's time behind bars, which has been anything but peaceful. Some people thought he might be safe because of his gang ties, but that couldn't be further from the truth. In fact, in 2022, Holder got jumped by 2 inmates in prison. And this wasn't some minor scuffle. These guys went all out, slashing him with a razor and leaving him unconscious. He ended up needing 3 staples in his head and was walking around with bruises all over his face.
Rapper Nipsey Hussle's alleged was attacked on his way to court. He was attacked by 2 people while in a holding cell. Holder needed 3 staples after being cut with what's believed to be a razor. He also may have lost consciousness during the attack.
Here's the wild part. Holder didn't even see it coming. He was just sitting in a holding cell with 13 other inmates, probably minding his business, when out of nowhere he got ambushed. His attackers didn't say a word. They just went straight for him. Nobody knows the exact reason, But let's be real, Nipsey's name carries weight everywhere, and it's hard to imagine it wasn't related to what he did. What's even crazier is that Holder showed up to court the very next day, looking all kinds of messed up, head stapled, face bruised, the whole 9 yards. It's hard to feel any sympathy for the guy though, considering the cold-blooded way he took Nipsey's life. But it's wild to see just how much his decision has cost him and everyone around him. Nipsey wasn't just another rapper. He was a symbol, a leader, and a force for change. Even the LAPD respected him for the work he did to bridge the gap between the streets and law enforcement. Even President Obama himself took a moment to honor Nipsey Hussle's legacy, underscoring just how impactful Nipsey was, not just in his community but on a global scale. His death was so significant that it brought rival gangs together to discuss peace. Think about that for a second. Nipsey's presence and message were powerful enough to make people rethink decades of street beef and violence. Eric Holder may have pulled the trigger, but he couldn't off what Nipsey represented. Nipsey's legacy is untouchable, and it's going to live on forever. People won't let his name fade away, and they definitely won't let Holder forget the weight of what he did. Former inmates like Bravo the Bag Chaser have even spoken about how brutal life has been for Holder behind bars. One incident during a prison transfer reportedly left him shaken. Another reminder that Nipsey's memory continues to cast a long shadow. While some believe Holder is getting exactly what he deserves, others wonder if his life is basically on a ticking clock, not because of parole or legal issues, but because revenge and street justice seem to be colliding in ways no one can fully control. When Eric Holder offed Nipsey, it wasn't just another crime. It was like lighting a match in a room full of gasoline. The rumors of retaliation started almost immediately, and it's been clear ever since that this wasn't going to end well for him or anyone close to him. And this cycle of revenge and tragedy, it didn't stop with Nipsey. Let's talk about Pop Smoke next, a rising star who had barely scratched the surface of his potential. Pop was one of those rare talents who seemed destined for greatness. He jumped into the rap game and took it over almost overnight. With his unique voice and undeniable charisma, he was poised to become one of hip-hop's biggest names. But tragically, his life was cut short before he could fully enjoy his success. Pop Smoke was offed in February 2020 during a home invasion in the Hollywood Hills. His emder sent shockwaves through the rap world and left fans heartbroken. But what's been happening in the aftermath of his death is where things get even more twisted. In August 2023, the case took a shocking turn when authorities began investigating a bizarre and gruesome incident. A man's naked body was found stuffed inside a barrel floating near a Florida beach. The victim was identified as Javonta Murphy, a 32-year-old singer-songwriter from Sylmar, California. He'd been offed with a gunshot to the head, according to an autopsy report. His body was discovered inside a sealed 55-gallon drum at Malibu Lagoon State Beach on July 31st. What makes this even more chilling is that Javonta was the older brother of Jaquan Murphy, one of the 5 suspects originally arrested in connection with Pop Smoke's emder.
Is the of rapper Pop Smoke related to the recent of a man whose body was found in a barrel in Malibu? Investigators are looking into the possibility that Javonta Murphy was in retaliation for Pop Smoke's death.
Naturally, this raised a lot of eyebrows. Was this a revenge K-ing tied to Pop Smoke's death? That's what many people are speculating. Authorities arrested a man named Joshua Lee Simmons for Javonta's emder, but the connection to Pop Smoke's case remains unclear. Was it a coincidence, or was it a calculated act of street justice? Nobody knows for sure, but it's hard to ignore the timing and the link to someone connected to Pop Smoke's emder. The hip-hop community can't help but believe it was retaliation for Pop Smoke. After all, Pop wasn't just loved, he was cherished. His music brought people together, and his sudden death left a gaping hole in the industry. In 2020, his life was cut short when 4 guys broke into the Airbnb he was staying at and shot him to death. Pop, who came up in the tough streets of New York, knew how to move smart in the streets, but things went sideways when he was in LA. Pop and his friend Mike D were hanging out in LA and posted some pics on Instagram showing off some gifts they received. Unfortunately, those photos also revealed the address of the Airbnb they were staying at.
Just hours before the home invasion, fans say Pop Smoke was flaunting stacks of money inside his home on social media.
His address is right there on one of his shopping bags in his house, which is this same location.
That's where the trouble began. In the early hours of February 19th, 2020, around 4 a.m., some dudes who had seen the post on IG broke into the house through a second-floor balcony. They went straight to the woman who was with Pop Smoke, put a gun to her head, and then headed for the bathroom where Pop was taking a shower. At first, the plan seemed to be just a robbery. Pop was ready to hand over his Rolex, but things escalated when he decided to fight back. That's when one of the robbers pulled the trigger, shooting Pop Smoke. They grabbed the Rolex, ran off, and disappeared into the night.
A rising rap star shot to death before sunrise in a Hollywood Hills home. Police say 20-year-old Bashar Jackson, who went by Pop Smoke, was gunned down when several suspects broke in to rob him.
For months, police had no solid leads, and many fans thought the Emder might have been gang-related since Pop was affiliated with the Crips. But in the end, it turned out to be a robbery gone wrong. A few suspects were eventually arrested: Jaquan Murphy, Keandre Rogers, Corey Walker, and 2 minors whose names haven't been publicly released. The minors both pleaded guilty, and the one who admitted to shooting Pop is now in juvenile detention until he turns 25. The other minor got 4 years.
20-year-old man pleaded guilty in juvenile court on Thursday, April 6, admitting he entered a Hollywood Hills mansion as a teenager in February 2020 with the plan to rob Pop Smoke, who ended up being shot to death by his assailants. He was sentenced to 4 years and 2 months in the secure youth treatment facility in Los Angeles, but could remain in juvenile custody until he's 25.
As for the adults involved, their trials are still pending. Next up, we've got young Dolph, a legend in his own right, and when he was tragically taken out, the aftermath was nothing short of chaotic. Dolph's Emder wasn't just another headline. It was a seismic event that sent shockwaves through Memphis and beyond. His death on November 17, 2021, after being shot 22 times, was a devastating blow to his family, fans, and the streets that loved him. But what followed? That's a whole different story. One that's still unfolding and filled with street justice, retaliation, and a whole lot of bodies dropping. When news broke that young Dolph was gunned down, it didn't take long for his crew to mobilize. They weren't about to let this slide, and the city knew it.
Trying to wait on their partner. Say, you a.
Even the police in Memphis were bracing for impact. They issued warnings for people to stay inside unless it was absolutely necessary to be out. That's how real it got.
Tonight, we strongly encourage everyone to stay home if you do not have to be out.
The fallout didn't just stay on the streets, though. It followed Dolph's carriers everywhere, even behind bars. One of the men accused of his Emder, Justin Johnson, learned this the hard way in 2022 while locked up in Tennessee's Shelby County Jail. According to reports from TMZ, Johnson was casually making a phone call in the visitation area when another inmate walked up and decked him out of nowhere. His lawyer claimed there was no known motive, but let's be real. Speculation immediately swirled that it was because of Dolph. Now, Johnson got off easy with just a punch because outside those prison walls, things were far worse. Bodies were dropping left and right in the name of young Dolph. The first target was a grim example of what was in store for anyone involved in young Dolph's Emder or connected to those responsible. Comedian Darian D. Moneychilds made the mistake of joking about Dolph's passing in an online post. Just a week later, he was already gunned down. His K-ing marked the beginning of a streak of revenge that couldn't be stopped. In January 2022, another high-profile target was taken out. Big Nusky, a rapper signed to Moneybagg Yo and cousin of Big 30, was shot at the New Horizon River Apartments on Kazasa Road around 7 p.m. When the shooting stopped, a 26-year-old man lay dead. Big Nusky was said to be connected to Justin Johnson, aka Straight Drop, one of the main suspects in Dolph's Emder. This connection was speculated based on photos showing both of them standing in front of the same car. After Big Nusky's death, Straight Drop posted a picture of him online, captioned, "Lost my brother fighting to keep my head up. The pain was real." But Dolph's people weren't finished yet. Straight Drop and the others charged with Dolph's Emder allegedly had ties not only to CMG and Yo Gotti, but also to the Memphis gang True La Mafia. The OG of this gang, Joshua Taylor, aka CEO TZ, was also on the cops' radar for the Dolph hit. However, TZ wouldn't be around much longer. On June 14, 2023, officers responded to a call about a man down at Spotswood Avenue near Bunton Street at 12:56 p.m. They found Taylor suffering from gunshot wounds, dead at the scene. Reports suggested that he had actually been shot the night before and was discovered lifeless in a car near a church around 1 p.m.
Vitalis Taylor, also known as CEO TZ, was found shot to death in Orange Mound Wednesday at Spotswood and Bunton. Those who live nearby tell us Taylor was actually shot the night before, discovered lifeless.
The cycle of revenge didn't stop there. The next shocking casualty was a female rapper, Destiny Golden, aka Lotta Cash Desto. Her MDR demonstrated that no one was off limits. On September 24, 2022, Desto was with a female friend in the 5500 block of Richmond Avenue around 2:40 a.m. when they stopped behind a dark four-door vehicle at a traffic light. Two male shooters emerged from the dark vehicle, walked up to Desto's car, and opened fire, killing Desto and injuring her passenger. This brutal attack led many to believe it was another act of retribution for young Dolph's MDR. In a twist that nobody saw coming, another person linked to orchestrating young Dolph's hit was none other than Lotta Cash Desto's father, Hernandez Govan.
Govan asked for young Dolph to be.
Mr. Govan has been indicted and is in custody for being involved in the young Dolph. He played the role of the person who solicited.
After he was arrested, he posted online, hinting that his own actions might have led to his daughter's tragic death. It seemed like the pieces of this deadly puzzle were falling into place, with every new victim connecting back to Dolph's MDR. Dolph's people were relentless, and their next target proved just that. On August 18, 2023, the Memphis Police Department reported that gunfire erupted around 9:30 a.m. at a BP gas station on South Parkway East. Officers responded to the scene and found a man with a fatal gunshot wound, Tamanuel Benson, Black Youngsta's brother. The shooter didn't even bother masking up, and the police had a clear image of him, which they released to the public along with a $5,000 reward for information. This brazen hit, carried out in broad daylight, was another message that Dolph's crew wasn't playing around. Tamanuel's death pointed fingers straight at PRE, Paper Route Empire, Dolph's crew. Black Youngsta had a long-standing beef with Dolph, initially inherited from Yo Gotti. Now, he was left to grapple with the pain and anger of losing his brother, caught up in the vicious cycle of revenge allegedly carried out by Dolph's people. And then, finally, Big Jook. Ironically, Big Jook was attending a funeral when he met his own end.
Well, at least 5 police sources have confirmed with Fox 13 that the person killed is Anthony Mims, also known as Big Jook. Now, Big Jook is the brother of rapper Yo Gotti.
But Dolph's story is just one chapter in the larger narrative of how deeply hip-hop and the streets are intertwined. Let's take it back to a legend who defined an era. Tupac Shakur. When Pac was gunned down in Las Vegas in 1996, the fallout was just as intense, if not more. His death wasn't just the loss of one of the greatest rappers to ever do it. It was a catalyst that set off a chain reaction of violence and revenge. Pac's MDR remains one of the most talked about unsolved cases in hip-hop, but what's wild is how karma seemed to have its own plan for the people allegedly involved. Except for Keef D, every single person rumored to have been connected to Tupac's death has met a tragic end. And as for Keef D, well, he's finally facing his own reckoning. Keef D is now battling it out in court, and the trial is no joke. Reports suggest he's been having a rough time of it. Attacks, threats, and other incidents that show just how far Pac's reach still extends.
Rumors floating around that he was attacked in jail.
I heard that too. If he get attacked in the county, he gonna have a problem.
Well, he's gonna be in state prison.
When he go to state prison.
Which is gang infested.
Since Keef D's arrest, his situation has significantly deteriorated. He's not only facing legal troubles, but he's also been attacked multiple times. In a new interview with Bomb 1 St. Reggie Wright Jr., who once worked at Suge Knight's Thay-Row Records, and whose father was a gang enforcer with the Los Angeles Sheriff Department's Operation Safe Street unit in Compton, revealed that Keef has already been jumped several times in jail while awaiting his trial. Reggie said, "Heard he done got whooped on about 3 times already in there. And I got that confirmed from a very, very good source. But nothing major. Just, kicked, stomped, hit. Nothing like he gonna get when those dudes in the pen find out how he was saying that they soft. Yeah, that audio's still out there. You better call Vlad and try to get it pulled down."
Those 2 months is kicking his mother. Ain't it? That picture look bad. My testosterone must be going low. Cause I kind of feel bad for the motherfucker.
Keef D's reputation has also taken a severe hit. Once seen as a revered OG who bragged about his connections to Tupac on YouTube, he is now viewed as a dumb A in jail on MDR charges. Prior to his trial, Keef struggled while spending several months in protective custody. His once formidable image as a famous gangster from the 1990s has been tarnished, with many in his old neighborhood now seeing him as a joke who ran his mouth about his involvement in the high-profile case. A source revealed that he has been frustrated because his legal team did not apply for bail immediately after his trial date was set in early November. Instead, Keef's lawyers filed a 33-page bail application on December 14, 2023, just over a week before Christmas. In this application, his lawyers claim that Keef only gave interviews about the Tupac murder to make money and for entertainment purposes. Unfortunately for Keef, rather than earning a quick buck, these interviews led to his custody.
I would definitely say he's a liar.
Defense attorney Carl Arnold says we shouldn't believe what 60-year-old Dwayne Keefy D. Davis has to say about the shooting of Tupac Shakur. Those private statements to police turned into public interviews, paid interviews.
He's sitting over there, how come I didn't make any money on this? And now someone's presenting him with the opportunity to make some money.
So isn't it kind of stupid to do that and then get hit with a charge?
Yeah, it was really stupid.
The first sign that Keef could end up behind bars came in July 2023, when detectives on the case searched his home in Henderson, Nevada. Then in September 2023, after a 6-week grand jury heard compelling evidence against him, Keef was arrested near his home. Despite his legal troubles, Keef seemed to enjoy the attention from his connection to Tupac. Body cam footage from his arrest shows him telling police that it is the biggest case in Las Vegas history.
They got you for, man? Biggest case in Las Vegas history.
Keef D's fascination with the limelight can be traced back to his numerous interviews where he detailed his role in organizing gang members to hunt down and assassinate Tupac Shakur. He also chronicled the murder in his memoir, Compton Street Legend. However, this bravado has come back to haunt him as he now faces serious consequences for his actions.